All right, today we're going to go over Business Insurance 101. In today's agenda, we're going to go over what is an insurance score, general liability, hired non-owned auto, product liability and relabeling, professional liability, otherwise known as E&O, errors and omissions, or in the healthcare space, malpractice insurance, business personal property, business owner's policy, and commercial umbrella insurance. We're also going to have, in addition to this, Business Insurance 102. In that agenda, we go a little bit deeper into EPLI, employer practice liability, workers' compensation, cyber insurance, D&O, or directors and officers, flood coverage, and last but not least, why your personal insurance has to look different as a business owner. What is an insurance score? So an insurance score is a numerical rating or score used by insurance companies to assess the risk associated with an individual or entity when providing insurance coverage. So key factors of an insurance score: credit history, driving record, claim history, insurance history, and other factors. A lot of people are unaware that insurance is a financial vehicle. It's very heavily rated by credit. So if you have a low credit score, you're going to pay more for insurance. It's just kind of the way that it is. Same with driving record. Claims affect that. Claims, either comprehensive, roadside glass claims, or collision. Obviously, accidents will affect that. Also, how often you shop your insurance around will affect your rates as well. So how is a BOP or commercial insurance actually rated? So there's no magic trick here. What they do is they take your class code, classification meaning what it is you do. In this case, we're looking at a med spa, and they take your class code times total sales equals rate. So in this case, med spa times $1 million in sales equals the insurance rate. So a lot of people don't know how they come up with that. Obviously, your insurance score is going to come first, then the class code, then total sales equals the insurance rate. So that's why if someone's rating it correctly, carriers aren't going to vary too much on the price of your commercial insurance. Now we're going to get into general liability. It's the most common coverage in business insurance. It's also probably widely misunderstood. What is general liability? Many small business owners have a general liability insurance coverage to help protect their companies. You may be asking yourself, what does general liability cover? So it covers costs for property damage claims against your business, medical expenses if someone gets injured at your company, not an employee, that falls under work comp, administrative costs to handle covered claims, and court costs, judgments, and settlements for covered claims. One of those being bodily injury. So general liability coverage can help pay for medical expenses associated with a bodily injury that your business may have caused, like a customer slipping and falling. Again, this would be a customer coming to your place of business and getting injured. If an employee got injured due to a slip and fall, that falls under workers' compensation. Personal injury. General liability can help pay for business defense costs if you're sued for personal injury, like libel or slander. That could be you marketing an ad against a competitor. That falls under personal injury, not to be confused with bodily injury. The dangers of not having general liability. State laws generally don't require you to carry general liability insurance. However, not having coverage could put your business at financial risk. You may also find that businesses will want to make sure that you have the minimum coverage they require before agreeing to do work with you. You see this more on a B2B, business to business, when they see a contract. Everybody wants you to have general liability. If you have a bank loan, such as an SBA, you'd be required to carry general liability. They want to make sure that your business can survive a liability claim and continue to do work with you or the work they hired you to do. So they may ask you to provide this coverage, also known as a certificate of liability insurance. What does GL not cover? Okay, so here's the thing. It's called general liability, but it doesn't cover generally everything. Be aware that general liability insurance doesn't cover every kind of claim. For some, you'll need different types of coverage to give your business more protection. Commercial auto accidents that you or your employees cause while driving for work, a commercial auto insurance policy can help you cover the cost of damages. That would not fall under general liability. Be aware that many states require certain types and amounts of auto coverage, like bodily injury liability or property damage liability. I always state with every business owner, don't look to see what the states recommend, because usually it's not enough or generally incorrect. What does GL not cover? Continued employee injuries or illnesses, due to their work. Workers' compensation insurance gives your employee benefits to help them recover from a work-related injury or illness. For example, it can help cover an employee's medical bills and ongoing care and expenses. Damage to your own business property, you'll need to get a commercial property insurance policy for that. We're going to go over that in a later slide. Hired non-owned auto endorsement. This is a big one. This is an endorsement you can add to the general liability. Hired and non-owned car insurance provides insurance protection while driving vehicles your business doesn't own for work purposes. Like sending an employee to pick up lunch or other errands can put the business at risk without this endorsement. An employee needs to fly to a different state to meet an important client at their headquarters. The employee drives her own car to the airport, and on the way there, she ends up rear-ending and damaging another car and is found to be at fault. The other driver sues the employee and her company for damages. Because the employee's company purchased hired and non-owned. That means hired, person works for the company. Non-owned means the company doesn't own the auto. The company is covered for any cost resulting from legal defense or damages. The employee's personal auto insurance would cover the claims against her, damage to her own car. In any case, it could fall on both. But the example of this is if you own a company and you do not own business-owned vehicles, but employees do run errands for that company. It's very important to have this endorsement because it technically would not fall under your employee's auto policy for stuff they're doing that's work related. Product liability and relabeling. This is a big one. What is product liability relabeling? So product liability is insurance that helps protect your business from a claim that a product you made or sold caused bodily injury or property damage to someone else. Also needed for just relabeling something you didn't make. Once you cover a label for one brand with your own, it transfers all the liability to you for the life of the product. Product liability examples like defective design. A person's face, neck, and back were burned because the pressure cooker he was using could be opened before it was depressurized. The plaintiff opened the cooker according to its design and the scalding contents sprayed into the plaintiff. This is again a product defect that falls under product liability, not general liability. Again, defective design, missing safeguards. Plaintiffs have recovered when dangerous machinery they were using, could be a lawnmower, snowblower, or industrial equipment, did not have appropriate safety design and such as an automatic shutoff and guard to keep hands out of dangerous areas of equipment. Again, if you were selling any of this equipment, whether you manufactured it or not, it would fall under product liability, not general liability. Relabeling examples, this is a big one. We tend to see this a lot in medical spas and other things such as that. This is where you're buying supplements or anything from one manufacturer and putting your label on it to make it your own brand. So if you were to buy Gorilla Mode pre-workout or protein here for that example, and you decided to put Chris's protein on that as an example to sell it from your own store, the moment you do that, you're now taking all the liability for this product for the life of the product regardless. And so that's similar to like Roundup had a lot of incidents there with Monsanto. If I was to put Chris's weed killer over Roundup to sell it in my hardware store, and years later we find out that Roundup causes cancer, every bottle I sold with my sticker on it is now my responsibility. That's why you should never relabel a product that you don't manufacture. Next, this is a big one. E&O, otherwise known as professional liability. A lot of people mistake that general liability covers what we're getting ready to go over, and it does not. It's an entirely separate coverage. What is E&O? So E&O stands for errors and omissions, otherwise known as professional liability insurance, protects businesses when employees make mistakes in the professional service they're providing to the customer or client. This coverage is also known as errors and omissions. Some call it E&O. In the healthcare space, it's known as malpractice insurance. Even if you're an expert in your business, mistakes happen. If your client or customer thinks a mistake in your professional service caused a financial loss, they can sue you. And again, that suit would fall under professional liability. It would not fall under general liability. If your business offers professional services and you don't have professional liability coverage, you can be held liable if a customer believes you made a mistake. Even if you didn't cause them a financial loss, you can still get sued. Small business owners should consider having professional liability coverage because it protects your businesses when they need it most. What does E&O or professional liability cover? Professional liability insurance for small businesses can help protect against claims from negligence misrepresentation, inaccurate advice. That's a big one if you're a consultant. It's not the advice you give, it's how they interpret what you say. Personal injury, copyright infringement, and defense costs. We're going to dive into these a little more specifically. Professional liability, who needs this? Quick answer, everybody that's in business. But accountants, they need accounting E&O. Consultants need consulting E&O. Market research firms, interior designers, advertising, technology professionals, healthcare, construction, even if you're in the painting sector. Where does that come into play? So if you're a painter and you're painting someone's house, if you left a ladder that they tripped on, that falls under your general liability. If you painted the house the wrong color, that falls under professional liability. And people would say, well, I would just correct the mistake. But if they don't want you to correct the mistake, the only way to pay for the damages to get it repainted would fall under professional liability. So professional liability insurance is an important coverage that business owners who provide a service to a client or customer should have. You'll want to get professional liability insurance coverage if you have to sign a contract that requires you to carry the coverage, offer professional services directly to customers, which is basically every business, regularly give advice to clients. That's a big one in the consultancy field because I always tell consultants, it's not what you say, it's what they interpret that you said, where consultancy can go wrong. Be aware that some states require this type of business insurance. Again, regardless of what state you're in, always buy insurance regardless of what the state recommends. How much does E&O cost, or professional liability? Your cost, again, is unique to your business. What you pay for professional liability insurance will vary by product, the limits you choose, the risk class, hazard group, where your business is located even will change on what that cost. Quotes will vary again by business depending on the size, state, where it's located, coverage limits chosen, and the risk class your business is associated with. Obviously, the higher the risk class, the more that premium would be associated with that. Professional liability examples: breach of contract. Clients sue a tech company for breach of contract if the delivered products or services did not align with the details stipulated in the contract. Being unable to meet contractual obligations can give a client grounds to sue for breach of contract and associated damages. Breach of contract is a common error and omission example. And again, there's no coverage with general liability in regards to that. Breach of warranty. Similar to breach of contract, clients can file an E&O claim for a breach of warranty, while a breach of contract means a tech company didn't deliver the agreed product or service. A breach of warranty involves the product or service not meeting performance expectations. This type of claim is often harder to prove, but can still be costly for tech companies to defend or settle. For example, a company focused on spam reduction might face a breach of warranty claim if their service doesn't reduce spam as expected. And again, that could be in any service where you underperform or underdeliver. That again is going to fall under professional liability. Next, we're going to jump into business personal property. This is often misunderstood, very important to have this coverage. What is business personal property, otherwise known as BPP? This insurance offers financial protection against lost, damaged, or stolen business property. It covers assets such as your computers, furniture, tools, and inventory. This is the least expensive coverage. Keep in mind, even if you work from home, homeowners insurance was not designed to cover home offices and expensive computer equipment. Business personal property examples: equipment, supplies, an employee spills an entire cup of coffee on a computer. That computer would be covered by business personal property. Inventory damage, a pipe burst inside the building, it ruins the entire stockroom. That's going to be business personal property. Furniture upgrades, a fire destroys a $5,000 custom shelf you install, that falls under business personal property. When you move into a leased space and do an entire build out, that's called improvement and betterments. That also falls under business personal property. If you have a stockroom full of inventory, that's business personal property, but all the furniture, computers, files, everything related to your business inside those four walls is considered business personal property. None of that is covered under general liability or professional liability for that matter. Now we're going to bring all this home. So a lot of class codes, the majority of class codes, can get what's called a BOP, Business Owner's Policy. Some call it a Business Office Policy. This is where you can buy most of these coverages on one form, where it's less expensive than buying them a la carte, one at a time. So BOPs are insurance packages designed for small businesses, bundling property damage liability coverage and many other coverages into a single policy. If your class code is eligible, you can package and gain more coverage for significantly less. So we're going to look at a BOP on this example here. This one was for a lady that is a hairstylist who doesn't own the salon but rents a booth inside that salon. What you can see here is these upper coverages are her general liability. So you can see that she's covered for $1 million, $2 million. That's your traditional general liability. That means you're covered up to $1 million per occurrence, no more than $2 million aggregate. That means you're covered up to $1 million per claim, no more than 2 claims per year. You'll see inside that general liability, it covers $10,000 in medical expense, as well as personal and advertising injury. That's the one where you can get in trouble for libel or slander. That more falls under a marketing type coverage. Below that, you see included barbershop and beauty salon professional service liability. That is her getting $1 million for professional liability. What's the difference? If someone slipped and fell on hair, that falls under general liability. If she hit someone with her scissors or cut someone or dye someone hair that they don't like it, that's going to fall under professional liability. Then she's also built on here what's called blanket additional insured by contract. That is when you need to list certain parties as an additional insured onto your policy to prove you have coverage. Typically, you have to pay every time you add another company. With this endorsement, you can add as many in a given year, and there's only one cost. Also, she has $5,000 in business personal property that's not shown here, that's listed on here. So she's getting her GL, general liability, her professional liability, blanket additional insured by contract, and her BPP all on one form. This entire policy cost $530 annually, where she would be paying upwards of $1,400 to $1,500 if she was buying these coverages individually. That's the power of packaging. Umbrella, commercial umbrella coverage. What is a commercial umbrella? Commercial umbrella insurance refers to liability insurance that is more specified than other policies, such as general liability. It is also potentially primary insurance for losses not covered by the other policies. When an insured person is liable to pay someone, the insured's primary insurance policies pay up to their limits. Any additional amount is paid by the umbrella policy. So example back to the hair salon, general liability, they'll pay $1 million per occurrence. Let's say that she gets sued for $1.5 million and she loses that case. If she had a commercial umbrella policy, that would then pay the excess above what the general liability wouldn't pay. Same in an auto situation. If you have auto insurance, you have $300,000 in coverage, you get in an accident that cost $500,000, the commercial auto policy will pay up to its max of $300,000. The umbrella then would pick up any additional. It's considered excess liability. How does a commercial umbrella work? Outside of what I just stated, commercial umbrella insurance extends the limits of certain liability policies, including general liability insurance, a commercial or commercial auto insurance. Another name for this coverage is business umbrella insurance. One of the things, though, that typical commercial umbrellas don't extend to on a policy, typically they don't extend to most professional liability policies, and they also don't extend to liquor liability. So if you own a bar and you have liquor liability coverage and a commercial umbrella, that umbrella usually won't extend to liquor liability. It's important to note that. It doesn't extend to all policies, but it does extend to most policies. So commercial umbrella insurance is flexible. It can extend the liability coverage that you may have with other insurance companies. So if you have a commercial auto insurance policy from another insurer, it could give you an additional layer of protection and extend its limits. What does a commercial umbrella policy cover? Commercial umbrella policies can help cover bodily injury, like a customer getting hurt at your business, property damage that your business caused, lawsuits from customers or employees with work-related injuries or illnesses. And again, this would extend above work comp or general liability in those cases. Be aware that commercial umbrella insurance adds an extra layer of protection to an existing underlying policy, such as general liability, commercial auto. For example, if you don't have a general liability insurance policy, you can't get commercial umbrella coverage. Again, the reason why they call it an umbrella is it goes over all of the other policies. Commercial umbrella insurance limits. Insurance companies write business umbrella insurance policies with aggregate limits. These limits can range from $1 million to $15 million. I've seen them as high as $50 million, but they go in $1 million increments. And that's the max that umbrella will pay on one given claim. Who should purchase a commercial umbrella? Again, quick answer, every business owner. Typically, the more small businesses interact with clients and customers in person, the higher their liability risk are. Your risk can be greater if your employees use heavy machinery or dangerous equipment. If you think the cost of a claim could exceed your liability limits, it's a good idea to consider commercial umbrella insurance. This coverage can help your business frequently if it interacts with customers, you work on someone else's property, or allow the public to come visit during opening hours. All of that leads to higher risk risk, which then makes a commercial umbrella more essential. Again, the other thing to look for on our university platform will be the Part 2 agenda, where we get into EPLI, employer practice liability. We get into workers' compensation, how states look at that, even if they're W-2 or 1099. Cyber insurance, directors and officers, D&O. Flood coverage, even as a tenant. We go over both. Why your personal insurance has to look different as a business owner. Thank you for attending this seminar.